Esteemed Chair of the Board of Trustees, Honorable Rector, Vice Rectors, academic, administrative staff, and students of our university. Dear guests, good morning and good afternoon. Welcome to the second day of the 2025 Smart Economic Planning and Industrial Policy Conference. This year's main theme is Industrial Policy, Trade Wars, and Economic Development in the Era of Technological, Geopolitical, and Environmental Change. Now, I would like to leave the floor to Professor Dr. Sandrine Leberi from the University of Ferrara, Italy, to deliver her presentation on industrial policy for a fair society.
Good morning. Good morning, everyone. Let me share my screen so that you will be able to see my presentation. Okay, can you see my screen? Can you see my screen? Can you tell me?
Yes, we can see your screen, Professor.
Okay, great. So I am very grateful to the organizers of this important conference, and particularly to Murat Yulek for inviting me. My talk today is about industrial policy for a fair society, with which Patrizio Bianchi, my co-author, and I feel is very important in the current context that you have mentioned of twin transitions, geopolitical upheaval, conflicts, and crisis. This geopolitical context is one where the old world order established after the Second World War has completely transformed in a context of deep structural changes induced by both digitalization, the fourth industrial revolution, and the environmental challenge. The threat caused by climate change and environmental degradation. Another challenge is the demographic one, which is very important, with the population expected to reduce in some countries, while others will experience a steep increase, creating numerous problems. I do not want to go deeper into the analysis of these problems and challenges, but they all combine to induce deep changes in the economy and therefore in the society as well. So today what I want to do is to stress the importance of the interdependency of the economy and the society, and especially that regarding industrial development and social development. By the way, an aspect that was stressed a long time ago, even by classical economists like Adam Smith in the end of the 18th century. So industries have production systems that correspond to specific models of society, I could say. For instance, mass production was developed with large companies where there were labor contracts characterized by life employment, and career development in internal markets, what was called internal markets, allowing workers, even at the lower levels of the hierarchy, to have a decent pay, a decent job guaranteed in the long term. So the impact on society was very important, leading to a population able to have life projects, have stability, and thanks to the development of the welfare state, especially after World War II, access to education and health, which are very important. In terms of indicators, this means inequalities decreased, and the decades after 1945 showed also continuous growth in parallel. This was the evolution up to the 1980s and 90s, and a number of events have changed that situation. So what I'm going to talk about is articulated in 3 points: industrial development and growth so far, inequalities and market tendencies, and what industrial policy for a fair society. Okay. So I was mentioning growth. As you can see, that's World Bank data on GDP trend. Growth has increased tremendously since the 1960s and quite continuously, apart from the last 2 decades where some crises have happened: the 2008 crisis, financial crisis, the COVID crisis. Okay, so the trend has been overall steep rise, and yeah, we have also experienced an unprecedented population increase, as you can see on that graph, population by world region, but also an increase in global warming. The cumulative CO2 emissions have risen substantially in the last 50 years, especially. So, second fact, population increase. Third fact, global warming, which are also our challenges today, no? So after 1995, there is the growth rate worldwide becomes steeper. The increase becomes steeper, driven by the acceleration of international trade. And that corresponds to the WTO agreements and the deep change in the production system of most companies with the global value chain model. So offshoring and organization of production on a world scale. International trade decline after the financial crisis. And also at the time of the pandemic, but the financial crisis marks the start of questioning, I would say, of the model of global value chain, so world organization of production, because it is after that, from 2010 onwards, that debates about reshoring start to appear. Also policies for reshoring with the Obama initiative in 2012 in the United States, promoting the return of production to the US already. Sorry, my voice is not clear. Okay, and yeah, and that's the graph of international trade, where it is clear that the continuous growth experienced from the 1970s onwards really stops after the financial crisis. The decades of the 1980s and 90s are also characterized by an increase in inequalities that changed the trend that had prevailed after World War II. Internal labor markets in large companies experienced a strong decrease in life employment, strong increase in flexible contracts with the aim of having flexible labor markets. And flexibility just seems to have continuously advanced, at least in some countries, and in Europe that's the case, advanced through time up to debates of over the last 2 decades about job precarity. So the very short-term, low-paid contracts that have developed. And the impact on society this prevailing of precarity is that a large share of the population does not have decent jobs, cannot make life projects, not sure of having still the job after in the next few months. And the current context of twin transition also requires large upskilling and reskilling. New jobs, new skills are appearing, yet these workers in precarious contracts do not access to training. So that's a paradox, a dilemma that Patrizio and I want to address, and this is why we want to. We have defined that project of analyzing industrial policy for a fair society. So, industrial policy for a fair society being a society where people have decent jobs and life prospects. Okay. Regarding inequalities, this slide illustrates the increase in inequalities in the world, just in China and the USA. During the last 40 years, China has kept 800 million people out of poverty, which has transformed the Chinese society. But inequality has increased continuously from 1995 to 2010, and then remained stable after 2010. Regarding inequality index, China inequality index has the top 10% of population having 41.7% of income and 67.8% of wealth. And the USA inequality index has almost 6% of income for the top 10, the top decile population, okay, and 70% of wealth. So that's a sign of inequality. Another aspect of inequality, I think, regard market concentration, i.e. the superpowers. Okay, I put that very funny picture on the slide, but it's just to illustrate that besides these rising inequalities, we have also sort of rising inequalities in markets, okay? Because the last decades have been characterized by the rise of new monopolies, very large companies with a very large market power, and especially the so-called big techs. Okay, big techs, GAFA in the US, Google, Amazon, Facebook, Apple, Google being the Alphabet group, Facebook is in fact Meta, okay? But these companies have enormous market capitalization. Here, I show data of 2022. The GAFA have almost $700 billion market capitalization in 2022, while the GDP of Italy is a bit less than $2,000 billion. The GDP of Germany is a bit less than $4,000 billion. So the wealth, in fact, of these companies is enormous. And therefore their market power is enormous as well. And the market capitalization, if you look at more recent data, they just the importance and the large amount remains very large. Okay, these are the big techs, but not only big techs are superstar companies in industrial economics research. These companies are called superstar companies. Okay, and they are in various sectors: the oil sector, Saudi Aramco is the second in the world market by market value in 2023. The luxury sector also and financial sector have very large companies with very large market values. And last data regarding this market concentration, McKinsey did a research in 2018, a bit old now, but it showed that world companies which have a revenue of more than $1 billion were about 6,000 in number. And they represented 2/3 of the total revenue of firms in the world, with an estimation of the number of firms all over the world of 213 million firms. So that means that 0.0028% of world companies make 2/3 of the total revenue. Hence the funny picture here on this slide. So there is an important market concentration, and there are numerous studies that show that the concentration ratio has been increasing in the last 20 years, both in the USA and the EU. I've seen studies in these areas, not in other areas of the world. And in parallel as well, startup creation has declined. So this means the dynamics in markets, so in industries, is slowing, okay? Lower number of new firms, and you have firms with great market power in the markets, therefore in the industries. The big risk of monopolization led to the adoption of the first antitrust laws in 1890 in the USA, the Sherman Act. And Senator Sherman proposed that law, arguing that the concentration of wealth in the private sector could represent a risk for democracy. What about now? We have very, very, very large firms with large market power and probably also large political power. Okay, I'm not going to go deeper into that. Inequalities are rising. There are different signs of it. One issue might be the rise also of market concentration, inequalities in societies, inequalities in markets, perhaps linked and leading to similar effects. What industrial policy in this context? What we have shown in previous work, Patrizio Benchi and I, in numerous publications, also our colleagues David Bailey and Phil Tomlinson from the UK, what we have stressed is that for industrial policy, we need a holistic approach, comprehensive and coherent between policy levels and policy fields, because the industrial policy is made of, in fact, different policies. Competition policy, innovation policy, but also training and education policy, because firms, in order to develop, must have access to the human capital with the right skills. Otherwise, they won't be able to develop. Okay, whole of government approach. I'm not going to develop that in detail. In the current context, also industrial policy focuses on strategic sectors. That's a tendency we've seen: defense, AI, electronics, microchips, health. We need a systematic approach, mobilizing all elements of the socio-economic system towards industrial development, at all levels, national, regional, communities, citizens, and also taking account of all aspects, and in particular social aspects, as well as purely economic ones. So we need a fair industrial policy in order to reduce inequalities and I think also make growth more robust. And the policy dimensions involved in this are numerous: support to SMEs, social enterprises, inclusive entrepreneurship, lifelong skills and human capital, lifelong learnings, reskilling for green digital jobs, territorial cohesion is important, fair transitions and social dialogue, public value and mission orientation, that also very important, innovation serving societal goals. These are different aspects we are considering. Global and European perspectives are also important. In the EU, we have the Green Deal Industrial Plan, the Just Transition Mechanism, the PNRR, the important project of common European interests, link competitiveness with social value creation. In the US, the Inflation Reduction Act included equity and local job requirements. And at a global perspective, UNIDO's inclusive and sustainable industrial development framework is very important in this context. So there are industrial policy for a fair society is therefore an important topic and a complex one with many dimensions of the problem. Patrizio Bianchi and I are working on this topic, and we are happy to share thoughts and reflections if any of you are also addressing it. And if Murat Yulek is listening, I want to announce that we aim at sending you a proposal for taking part in that project. So we will send a proposal very soon. Thank you for your attention. Where am I? Okay.
Any questions? Okay, I believe there is not. Thank you so much once again. Okay, so now let's listen to our next invited speaker, Ivan Korotev from Zani organization, to make speech on AI trends in industrial and agent AI. So the floor is yours.
Yeah, hello.
Hello.
Now I will upload my presentation. Yeah, it's live. So thank you very much for joining me here. I'm very glad to be part of international conference. And I will be today speaking 20 minutes about trends in artificial intelligence, agentic AI, and AI trends in industrial. So let me start. Who am I? I have engineering degree from Bauman Moscow State Technical University. It's one of the leading technical universities in Russia. And I have very much experience in IT companies, in large IT companies like software integrators. And also I'm a TEDx speaker and of course Znania organization lecturer about AI for the whole country inside Russia. And I have today trends, and I hope you will be very interested. So first trend is a little bit techy, but I think you need to know it. So it is about how you can use AI to access your data. So when you have, for example, a lot of documents, like tens of documents, thousands of documents, you need large language models like ChatGPT to access them. So here comes retrieval augmented generation. In simple words, you just can upload these documents to special databases, and it can give a way to get data from your credible sources of information. So if you have IT department in your company, in your business, just make sure that they know that this RAG thing exists. And it uses LLM, and it uses your data and special databases to make the response from LLM much more richer and much more more with your data. So the response from LLM will have your data that you will upload. Next trend is also touchy, but also you need to know it. Now we have one more standard about how AI communicate with each other. So it is called Model Context Protocol. And as we speak about agentic AI, it solves a problem about how one AI should connect to another AI, how one AI should know what other AI have in capabilities, what it can get. Can it get pictures? Can it get text, video from other AI? And this is a protocol about connecting the different AI, the different AI models together. So it's developed by famous organization Claude, I think, or Anthropic. And they have a site, Model Context Protocol AO. You can also check it for any instructions. And also, if you have IT department, make sure they know about MCP standard, because it's now widely used to connect different models together. Next trend is, I think you have heard about it. It's vibe coding, of course. Everyone now tells about vibe coding. So what is it? It is when you don't know programming, maybe you are junior in Python or just a beginner, but you can use AI tools like Visual Studio Code and Copilot and other large language models to program, to create programs and even to create ready-to-production apps. For example, you can just vibe code an app for, I don't know, for a diet tracker, and it will use ChatGPT to be your consultant. It will use some ChatGPT abilities to recognize what you are eating if you send the photo to it. And you just can develop this app in like several days, just with plain English. So you tell the model, I want to build an app that will handle my diet, and it will be, I want it to be available on smartphones, I want to recognize photos, and I want the special, I want ChatGPT to be in mode of my diet coach, for example. So it's very good, but it's also good for programming. Many companies have a lot of money spent on programming, on IT department, and program salary of programmers is very high. Like they can get $100,000 a year in Silicon Valley, even more, and programmers are expensive. But if you equip your existing programmers with vibe coding, with using AI tools to programming, it will significantly increase their speed and their productivity. So please also use it if you have some apps to deploy, if you have some internal coding database that you use inside your business or universities. So please make sure your programmers will use AI. Next trend is security. So what about security? When we start dealing with those ChatGPT, with Claude AI, or maybe with Chinese models like Qwen or DeepSeek, we need to think where I am passing my data. So will my data be secure? I have a sensitive data. I have data about my business processes. I have data about my customers. Some of this data may be personal data, and here comes the personal data regulation like GDPR in Europe and different other stuff in different countries. So it's very crucial that you don't transfer sensitive data to some another country, or maybe to China, to USA, whatever. So how to solve it? Actually, it's very big question now for AI, but it is solvable because we have open source models. We have Facebook Llama model, we have Chinese Qwen open source models, and many more other LLMs. And you can just rent video cards. So you can buy your own video cards if you want, and build an entire your own LLM server for you. Yeah, you can build an entire AI ecosystem that will run under your control on your video cards, and then you will have all your data secure. It will only be transferred to the server, which you control, which you can access, and you know that your data are not leaving this special video card server. So security is solvable, but also note that renting video cards is now also expensive, and think about how much you spend and how much you earn in terms of speed of coding, in terms of security. It's also thing to consider. And next trend, as I said, Chinese AI. It's really huge. Please, everyone who listens to me, please note that Chinese is like the second world leader in AI. They have models like Wendy and DeepSeek. Everyone heard about DeepSeek, and they are open sourced. But aside of that, they have a lot of other models. They have Kling for video generation. They have ByteDance models for image generation. And the latest news tells us that, for example, ByteDance models, they are beating image generation. It transcends Hunyuan image model. Sorry, it just was released not long ago, and it on first place on different ratings for text-to-image generation. Also, they have TikTok. I was discovering Chinese TikTok since 2020, and TikTok, actually, it was the first app who invented this recommendation feed, which we now have in YouTube Shorts, in Instagram Reels, this AI recommendation feed that recommends you videos. And also in TikTok, they have live stream sales. It's a huge trend. If you are going to Chinese market, you need to know about live stream sales. It's just they make enormous tons of money, like they sell for hundreds of millions in 10 hours. Just a blogger who is showing some cosmetics, some clothes, and they have huge sales. So please watch what will. And it's a plus for us, because many models in USA, especially OpenAI, they are not open sourced. You can't deploy them on your own servers. You can't control them. But many AI, many Chinese models, they are open sourced, and you can take them and maybe use in your own systems. And also I want to mention the MENA region and UAE, especially because they have very big ambitions to become also very big center for AI. I speaking not only UAE, but Qatar, Saudi, and other countries. Oman, yes, they have all digital strategies about AI, and they have a lot of money that they get from not only oil but tourism, and they aims to have a lot of GDP come from AI. Yeah, so if you are searching for, if you are thinking what country will be third in the AI development, I think it will be UAE. But also notable that, yeah, and we have now, it's next trend, new customer habits. So as for me, I constantly use Perplexity instead of Google search. I just don't use Google search anymore. And we are now have new term, generative engine optimization instead of search engine optimization. Now many people use Nano Banana instead of Photoshop. It is Google model, and it's very huge, because you don't need to learn Photoshop anymore. You just upload your photo and just tell in plain English, please make a kitten on this photo, please make some stuff with the background, please remove some people or objects, and AI will do it. It's just crazy, because I never used Photoshop and I don't want to learn it anymore. Now we have photorealistic videos. Yes, Sora, Google Veo, and it is used for content creation. And also new customer habits is using ChatGPT instead of everything like copywriting, content plans, marketing, and you name what else. and these habits will not go away. People will use AI for everything, and this is a huge trend. McKinsey report from 2023, they decided that most functions in businesses will win from AI. Only 4 functions: customer operation, marketing and sales, software engineering, as I tell, software engineering with AI, and research and development. So many use cases from AI only use these 4 functions. And McKinsey report from 2025 interested that it was research use cases, and also they researched that not only AI will be used, it is already used in a lot of companies, but the biggest barrier is company leaders. It is CEOs, maybe they are in age above 40, and maybe they are in age above 50. I mean, they are not very good about AI. They don't think that it will be huge. But if you have a company, you need to teach your leaders to learn AI. That's what I'm doing. I do consulting, I do lecturing. And we have a new skill that will be very huge, learning how to learn constantly. Because AI is changing, we always see new models, we always see new tools about AI. So learning how to learn and constant learning will be the key future skill also for company leaders. So if you want to teach your leaders to use AI, I will be glad lecturing them. And yeah, AI is used like 78% at least at one function, and also 75% of GenAI concentrates, as I said, only in 4 functions: customer operations, I mean support, I mean frequently asked questions, marketing and sales. As you know, it's not only content plan generation for marketing, it's also calling for sales. AI do very good calling. You can, for example, Tesla in USA, they use AI agents to book clients for test driving. And it's huge because it works 24/7, and AI is replacing sales. So software engineering, yeah, programming with AI is also very huge. And what about Russian AI? Actually, we have Yandex company, yeah, we have other big tech companies, we have banks like T-Bank, but I want to tell about one company, Cognitive Pilot. They're using AI to solve agriculture problem. Cognitive Pilot actually use AI to solve the world hunger problem. They have self-driving harvesters who collect the wheat, and they are the second world key players in self-driving cognitive harvesters. They are even beating the John Deere, and they are like on the second place. It's very huge because in Russia we have a lot of lands. We have a lot of lands for agriculture, and all of these lands need to be treated with self-driving harvesters here to collect like a lot of food, food to feed the entire world. And Cognitive Pilot also is based, I think they are operating in Brazil. They have good good results in Argentina. So this is about self-driving harvesters. And what we need more for AI? Of course, we need computing and electricity. But so AI, for example, Sam Altman says that they need like a lot of electricity, a lot of video cards. But let's think about one thing, that most of electricity, especially in China, like 60% of electricity comes from coal. It comes from coal stations. It comes from coal electric power plants. It's not very, ecological. So I think we need to we need to think about using more nuclear, maybe exploring thermonuclear reactors and physics. but AI will have like 10%, maybe 20% of world electricity. I mean, the whole world production will be used on AI in the next like 5 or 10 years. Yeah, it's about like Japan's the whole Japan will be demanding the same electricity that will be needed for data centers for AI. And what about industry use cases? Of course, AI is used for engine management, for process optimization, and visual inspection. AI is really very good in recognizing in recognizing what objects it see, what objects are in front of the camera. I mean, also it's used in trafficking, in Moscow traffic, in different cities traffic, and AI is very good in recognizing images. So that's where manufacturers they report that they have productivity gains from AI. And of course, IT industry, yeah. So developers are using GitHub Copilot, and they complete their coding task 50% faster. So it's like very huge, because in past times we needed like months and months of human work, but now the developers can code quickly. And of course, we need to agentic AI. What is agentic AI actually? Why is everyone talking about it? It's an idea that we can connect different AI systems. We can create autonomous AI system that can independently set goals, plan, execute, and it can use tools using MCP protocol. It can use external tools. It can use your computer browsers, and it can use data to achieve objectives that you will give. And but we have one little problem with agentic AI. Especially it is seen in programming, in IT development. So the agentic AI problem is that error rates compound exponentially. So for example, if you have 5 steps for coding, like you need to code a big project, it's a 5-step plan that you need to do this function in step 1, that function in step 2, etc., 5 steps, like database, browsing, and such stuff. But if we have 5 steps with 95% reliability, then we have like 70% success and 30% errors. And if we have 20 steps, then we have only 36% of success. So production is falling, and errors rise exponentially. So please, how we can solve it? I think we just need to break our complex tasks, not more than 5 steps processes. Then we can use AI. So real challenge is about tracking these error rates. It's just a mathematical and a statistic problem, and it only can be solved with break into smaller steps. No-code tools, I think it's the last trend that I will use. And no-code tools are awesome, but they're not very good for production. They are very good for startups, for MVP, for deploying some minimum valuable product like in several weeks. But then I think you still need to have coding. Yeah, so no-code is good for prototyping, for fast launching. And there are different tools, but also know that it's not very good for big apps, for a large scale of clients. And robots. Yeah, robots are just crazy. We have a lot of robots, human looking today, and they're working in Amazon. Amazon has 1 million robots working on their warehouses. And we will see much more robots coming next years. So yeah, it was my last slide. So what is action plan for you after listening to this presentation? Of course, you need to choose what problems do you have, what problems you need to solve with AI, define how you will measure them, define KPIs. You can scale using templates, using open source code, existing AI services. You don't need to create your own AI. You need just to use some existing API. And please train your C-level management to use and implement AI. So if you wish to learn more about AI training, AI lecturing, my website is livewithmachines.com, and you can contact me, and we will discuss opportunities that AI will bring to your company. Thank you very much, and I hope that AI will be for your benefit. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Ivan Karuzev. Okay, any comments or questions? Okay, thank you once again.
Thank you.
So now we will have 5 minutes break in order to get ready for our panelists. Teknik bir sorundan dolayı şu anda başlayamıyoruz ama birkaç dakika içinde başlıyor olacağız. Welcome back. We will be continuing with a panel session called Global Economic Shifts and Their Impact on Industrial Policy. The moderator of this panel is Associate Professor Bahar Erdal from OSTİM Technical University. We are also honored to have with us Associate Professor Güzin Bayar from Republic of Turkey Ministry of Trade, Associate Professor Recep Yorulmaz from Ankara Yıldırım Beyazıt University, and Mr. Mahmut Muhittin Keskin from the Investment and Finance Office of the Presidency of Republic of Turkey. The floor is yours.
Welcome you all. The title of our panel is Global Economic Shifts and Their Impact on Industrial Policy, Rethinking Approaches to International Competitiveness, Sustainability and Resilience. We have very distinguished guests today. First, I would like to introduce our first guest, Associate Professor Güzin Bayar from the Ministry of Trade. She is in the airport now. She is going to Istanbul and she is going to join us from the airport. So first I would like to introduce Associate Professor Güzin Bayar. Dr. Bayar received her PhD from the Department of Economics at the Middle East Technical University in 2003. She got Associate Professor of Macroeconomics titled in 2012. Dr. Bayar taught as a part-time faculty member in the Department of Economics at Middle East Technical University, and she is teaching currently in the Department of Politics and Economics at the Ankara University. She was a visiting scholar at the University of Illinois at Urbana-Champaign in the United States from 2016 to 2017. Since 1997, she has been working at the Ministry of Trade. Dr. Bayar was commercial consular of Turkish Embassy in Minsk, Belarus from 2007 to 2010 and in Manama, Bahrain from 2018 to 2022. Her area of interest are international economics and game theory. The title of her presentation, Competitiveness, Growth, Market Share, and Technology Analysis of Exports of Turkey. Dr. Bayar, did we connect?
Hi,
welcome, Dr. Bayar.
Good morning, thank you.
The floor is yours.
May I connect from my slides, in fact, please? Hi, welcome all. Thank you for attending, and I will be presenting my study on competitiveness, growth, market share, and technology analysis of exports of Turkey. The next slide, please. I want to begin with introducing the concept, and afterwards I will be continuing with analysis part. This is my article, Structure of Exports of Turkey, Technology, Sophistication, Development Level, and Opportunities, published in the Journal of Socioeconomy, this publication, this time's publications. So I want to begin with introducing the study. In the study, I used UN Complete data for 2015 and 2022, and competitiveness, growth, market share, and technology analysis were made for 1,006 subsectors and products of Turkey's exports in SITC revised for 4-digit classification systems. And what is the aim of the study? To explore to what products Turkey can differentiate its export basket. We begin with RCA analysis from balance definition, revealed comparative advantage analysis. Revealed comparative advantage is defined as the ratio of the share of a product in the export basket of a country to the share of the same product in world exports. And as a rule of thumb, RC greater than 1 is accepted as that country has a comparative advantage in that product. Afterwards, we will continue with product space analysis, Hidalgo-Hasmon, in 2007 paper of them, and they define proximity and density. We will go into details and examine Turkey's export basket using proximity and density concepts. Afterwards, we will examine Turkey's technology structure of export basket, and UNCTAD has 11 classification in that I will go into details. And afterwards, my contribution, in fact, is adding market analysis to the product space analysis. Product space analysis is a product analysis, and upon it, I am adding growth market share analysis. What is happening in world markets in these products? Is it growing fast or not? And also whether Turkey has high or low share. So, next slide. I want to thank my colleague Ekrem Karademir for his contributions to this study, and we are still continuing this study. We are extending and detailing in Ministry of Trade. The product space approach developed by Hidalgo and others in 2007 provides an effective framework, in fact, for defining the structure of countries' export basket and development opportunities. Product space approach thinks that the growth of countries depends on increasing the sophistication level of products they produce and export. The technology, capital, institutions, and skills required to produce new products are adapted from those used for existing products. Some products are closer to the new products, while others are quite distant. Just a minute. With the concept of proximity, it is considered that, for example, developing an electrical vehicle with an autopilot feature would not be the same for a country that only produces oranges and a country that produces embedded software and hybrid vehicles. The proximity of products to each other is defined as the minimum of conditional probabilities that a country exports one product also exports another product. For example, a company, many of the countries competitive in textile products also are competitive in garments products, right? On the other hand, many of the countries, just a few of the countries that can export textiles competitively, can export also, for example, airplanes. So in this respect, textiles and garments are very close to each other. However, textiles and airplanes are very distant to each other. This is technically calculated as a conditional probability of minimum of the conditional probabilities of country I exports product I, given that it also exports product J, and the reverse probability and taking minimum of it. Just next slide. It is observed that some regions in product space are denser and some regions are sparser. Highly sophisticated, high technology products are found in denser regions of the product space and have more connections with other products. On the other hand, products with low sophistication like agricultural products, etc., are farther from sophisticated products and remain on the periphery of the product space. Density, I think this didn't open here, but density calculation is defined as average closeness of a new potential product to the country's export basket, calculated as a new product, for example, Turkey, try to differentiate its export basket to a new product. How we calculate this new product, whether close to Turkey's export basket or not, we add up the distance of this new product to Turkey's products that have Turkey competitive advantage in, and divide by all the products, the new products, distance to all other products. So, for example, for an automobile listing, automobile will be close to many products Turkey exports with competitive advantage. So automobile products will be close to Turkey's export basket. On the other hand, for example, an airplane, we have less competitive advantage on the products near to airplanes. So airplanes will be shown to be distant to Turkey's export basket. Why we are calculating this and where will we use this? If Turkey wants to diversify its export basket into high technology, higher sophistication products, where to begin? Closest products show us we have already some capacity in that, skills available in the country can be used in producing that new product. So we need to begin diversify our export basket to new, higher technology, higher sophistication products. Where should we begin? We should begin from the ones closest to our export basket. And also next, we are adding RCA analysis and product space analysis, market analysis. If a country wants to differentiate into a product near to itself, for example, but after making all the investment, if sees that there is no big market for it, not growing market for it, it would be very detrimental for the country. So we add product space, market analysis. Product space, although provide important opportunities to examine the sophistication level of a country's export structure, it becomes insufficient because they do not include anything about market conditions. So when we examine market condition, we use here Henderson's 1970 paper and growth share matrix. They define and define products, classify products according to market growth rate and relative market share. Initially, it was developed for holding companies. Many holding companies, since that theorem, use this to evaluate their products, whether going well in the market and whether that market is going well. Here we apply this to Turkey's 1006 export products. So how does it work? Market growth rate is at the rows. So this is growth rate of world in exports, and between 2018 and 2022, world markets grow by 50.5%. The products having higher export growth from this number is called high growth products, and the products having lower growth rate than 50% in this period are called low growth rate. And in columns, we have relative market share of Turkey. Market share of Turkey in total was 1.02% in 2022. Products having higher share from this are called high relative market share products, and products having lower market share, Turkey has lower market share than, are called low relative market share products. In a way, this is also a sort of comparative advantage indicator. So when we look at the for classification, both when market growth rates are high and Turkey's relative market share high, these are products with high potential. In world markets, it is highly growing, and we have also competitive power and indicated by relative market share of us. Question marks, these are products going very well in world markets. Most high technology products are here. They are growing very highly, but Turkey has low market share on it. So we are not yet capturing this growing market. Cash cows, these products are have low growth rates in world markets, but Turkey has high market share. For now, we have getting good export income from this, but in the future, these markets will be declining and we will not be able to gain much from this. So we should think about transformation possibilities for these sectors and try to increase most of the stars and stars in our export basket. And the last classification, pets, their importance in global trade is decreasing, and we do not have competitive power, we do not have big market share, so these are relatively lower potential products, we can say. And as I said, we are using UNCTAD classification, classifies products to 11 technology groups: primary products, resource-based, agricultural and other products, low-tech manufacturing, textiles, apparel, footwear, low-tech manufacturing, other, medium technology manufacturing, automotive, process engineering, high-tech manufacturing, electronic, electrical, other, and unclassified products. So we will examine 1006 products Turkey exported in this technology aspect also. When we look at some of the summary conclusions of the study, of the 1006 products exported in 2022, pets account for 9.6% of exports, but are majority in number, we see. Cash cows constitute 60.7% of total exports in value, so we get highest export income from these. But we should keep in mind these products' share in world trade is declining. So we will need transformation, we will need to evaluate transformation opportunities here. When we look at the first most important stars of Turkey, 84 of the 1006 products are stars. We see most of them are primary, low-tech, other low-tech textiles, resource-based other products. And when we look at cash cows products, 2062 of 1006 products are cash cow. It is noteworthy that primary products and low-tech textiles account for more than half of the top 50 cash cows of Turkey. Total number of medium-tech engineering, medium-tech automotive, and medium-tech process sectors is 11. However, these sectors are losing importance in world markets. It should be taken into account that products such as washing machines, refrigerators, etc., Turkey very successful in EU markets. However, in time, it will be declining in importance. And when we look at pets, we see that these sectors, these sectors sharing world trade is decreasing, and Turkey has not significant market share, but 520 of the products are pets, great in number, in fact. And questions marks, in fact, these are most important products for Turkey. 140 of the 1006 products are question marks. These are products, high technology, high growth rate in world markets, and Turkey should evaluate diversifying into these products. And in diversifying in these products, we should think of such a ladder approach. We should begin from using product space density proximity approaches. We should begin from the products which are most proximate to Turkey's export basket. And when we put these products from the nearest one is the proximate and highest proximate to Turkey's export basket, and the distant one are highest distant to Turkey's export basket. When we say the nearest one, television receivers, ships, boats, other watercrafts, parts of aircraft and spacecraft are the sectors in which Turkey already has competitive power. In fact, these are very close to our basket also in product space, and we have some competitive power. Electric machines and equipment, battery, electric accumulator and parts, automatic control tools. These are sectors with an increasing share in world markets, high-tech, promising, closer to Turkey's export structure, and Turkey has some competitive powers. These products indicate that we can begin from here. we already have some capabilities. We can improve these capabilities. And portable automatic data processing machine, electrical capacitors, these are quite far from Turkey's export structure and where Turkey's competitiveness is low. So it will not be practical to begin from these products. Easier to begin from the products most proximate, and then step by step, when we develop our capacities in these close products, we can go to more distant products, in fact. I will be finishing in 2 minutes. I think I used my time a lot. These are showing that we did all these analysis for 81 cities also. And this is showing us which cities have competitive advantage and which products they can develop. So this can be used in developing regional development policies also. So to sum up very quickly, evaluation and program recommendations, the aim should be increasing the number of stars and turning question marks into stars. And considering the basic transformation dynamics in the global economy, it is important to invest in the products of future, products whose world market share is increasing and expected to increase in the future. Increasing knowledge and skill level of human capital is very important here. It has been observed that 262 of the total 1,006 products exported by Turkey in 2022 are cash cows. Due to Turkey's high market share in world markets, it is necessary to ensure the transition from products that currently provide good cash flow but have a decreasing share in world trade. On the other hand, sectoral transformation policies should be addressed together with employment and labor force retraining strategies, due to that sectors have high employment share. Transformation policies may come to the fore in cash cows with the most decreasing share in world trade, first of all, and maintenance and renewal investment may come into fore in cash cows with still relatively better world demand conditions. And also about question marks, it has been observed that 140 of the total 1,006 products exported by Turkey are question marks. In order to obtain a higher share from global exports and increase productivity by identifying these products, investment in R&D and innovation should be increased, and training programs should be supported to develop human resources with the necessary competences. Education and career opportunities in STEM fields of science, technology, engineering, mathematics is very important. International collaborations, connections should be established between local R&D centers and encourage innovation, and facilitating technology transfer is very important. So we are, as I said, in Ministry of Trade, exploring much more on this issue with our friends. Thank you for attending and listening. I have to catch a flight. Sorry, I have to leave just now. Thank you very much.
Bayar, have a nice flight. Thank you very much for your informative presentation.
Thank you very much.
Our next distinguished speaker is Associate Professor Recep Yorulmaz. Dr. Yorulmaz is an associate professor at the Department of Public Finance, Faculty of Political Science at the Ankara Yıldırım Beyazıt University. He also serves as the president of the Economic Circle. It is International Research Center for Economic Policies. Between 1918 and 1922, he worked as the director of the Economic Studies Department at the Center for Middle Eastern Strategic Studies. Dr. Yorulmaz received his bachelor's degree in public finance from Afyon Kocatepe University in 2008. He completed his master's degree in economics at Clemson University in the United States in 2012, and he earned his PhD in economics from the University of Sheffield in the United Kingdom in 2016. His research interests include public economics, fiscal policy, political economy, and Middle Eastern economic studies. He has authored and co-authored several articles in peer-reviewed journals and contributed analysis to various academic and policy-oriented publications. The title of his presentation is Rebuilding Economic Sovereignty Through Fiscal Policy in the Age of Global Protectionism. The floor is yours, Dr. Yorulmaz.
Thank you so much. I think without this one, it will be difficult to hear me, right? Because I most of the time just walk around, so it will be a bit difficult for me to fit in. So before we start, I would like to say thank you for hosting us here, and thank you having us, and thanks for this kind of organization. Gülcan Hanım start with a specific analysis as like a research analysis. Since it was, I thought actually it will be a panel discussion, so I did just prepare as a discussion of the global sovereignty issues in terms of, thank you, global sovereignty issues in terms of the projectionary analysis, and also our this plan to make a small analysis in terms of Turkey case, in terms of the international struggles so far, recent international struggles about especially the integration of the economic institutions, of integrations of the economic policies in terms of these recent struggles in the world economy. As a public economist, I believe it's pretty much important to integrate these new policy initiatives into our implementations, especially in our country. So I will explain why and how it should be necessary. Also, as a public economist, again, I will try to propose this discussion on the eyes of public economists. We will discuss the 5 fundamentals, especially I will try with 3 fundamentals of public economics. These are when, why, and how governments should intervene into markets without destroying them, without causing the market failures. Market failures was the reasons reasons of the governments, the states that intervene into the markets. By the way, in terms of the research analysis, we did a mutual program called Academic Circles Academic Program, a joint program with OSTİM Technical University, and we prepared many research articles, research analysis with our students, with collaborated with our professors that are contributed in our program. So our students luckily will present their works during this very specific period of the conference. So you will have chance to see what we've done so far in terms of the research analysis deeply. So of course, the very title of us will be about the constructing of economic sovereignty through the fiscal policy. Especially, I will try to propose the importance of fiscal policies before and today's economic conjectures of the world politics, world economies, because it's pretty much important. And I believe that at the end of this very specific analysis, if I can catch the time in this very specific presentation, I will try to propose how we can use or how should we use or integrate the fiscal policies correctly to deal with the risk problems of Turkish economy. I would like you to also discuss, and maybe if we have time, we should done this interactive discussion, but I would ask you to think about it. And if we had chance to meet with our economy team from the Minister of Finance, I would have delightfully discussed with them why and how we should integrate the fiscal policies, correct and complementary fiscal policies to deal with the recent problems in the country. These recent problems, of course, were mainly the income gap, of course, income inequality among the country, and the living standards, problems of the living standards of the society. So I will just give brief explanation of the problem of the global protectionism, because most of the time we do analyze, we do run such issues with the theories of political science, especially. There is a theory, specific theory that called the hegemonial transition theory. During the hegemonial transition theory, I mean, using this theory, we explain what we are doing right now, what kind of system we are in right now, and where we are going. So even for your investments, this theory, and combining this theory with the recent cases, it gives you chance how you invest. So it's another good part of the analysis that we run. So during the hegemonial periods that it start with British hegemonial theories, I mean the British hegemonial era, after the, of course, the power from the East, the West started to use this power. And during this hegemonial periods, once the hegemon have the power, I mean, set their rules to regulate and to rule the economy, they set their international monetary systems in the first place. While setting this system, they use mostly classical policies, so liberal policies, to lead the international trade flows, to increase international flows to, of course, feed their production capacity as they increase the production capacity, and rule-based policies to control or power of economies. So, but during the transition periods, we call that transition periods, for example, shifting the power from one hegemon to another one. In this case, we start to use protectionist policies. What kind of policies that? For example, it starts with mercantilism, and then in the British era, it starts with classical schools, and then during the transition period, we start to call about you to start to use the Keynesian policies in the first place. We are the protectionist and interventionist policies. So today, again, after the end of Bretton Woods system and the end of, we call this the end of the era of neoclassical economic systems, and Anglo-Saxon economy started to lose its power. So again, we start to mention about the new policies as modern mercantilism, another protectionist era, and protectionist policies, which are started to called the modern mercantilism in this case. So such policies also use the fiscal policies a lot, especially during what we see in history, during the liberal policies, using the liberal policies, the hegemonial power, we use less of fiscal policies. But during the protectionist times, like the mercantilist era, these are the times during the hegemonic transition periods. During these periods, we start to use more of the fiscal policies. So these fiscal policies mostly used to intervene in the market and regulate in the market, regulate the prices, and of course, try to set the economic sovereignty of the economies of the countries in the first place. So at the end of this presentation, if I can manage the time again, I will try to propose why and how we should use the fiscal policies, not only protectionist times, but also the times of expansion policies needed for the countries, like especially for Turkey. So I will give you some cases, some examples, or some clues, evidences about the protectionist era, about the question, the answer of the question: are we in the era of global protectionism? Also, there is a question that it is the end of globalization. This is another question, and also, is it the rise of global protectionism? So the first view, of course, we call this VUCA era of USA. So we are in the era of volatility, like economic fluctuations and political instability of countries. Think about it. We are in right. So think about one of the most important specifications of the transition theories. There are crises, there are wars, there are economic financial crises, there are also conflicts among countries. Also, the hegemons try to show themselves, show their power, try to show off their power, as Trump did 3 days ago. Just think about it. So uncertainty, the strategic ambiguity in global trade we have in right now, because the WTO, World Trade Organization, right now, their summits just ends after 12 years later. So with the new countries just arise, they increase, they develop their powers among the WTO. They start to, they struggle to complete their summits. For example, the last summit in Doha, just last 12 years. So they can't negotiate, and they can't deal with any idea at the table. Complexity, we are in the complexity area also. It's another clue. Ambiguity, so also we have some blurred boundaries between economics and geopolitics, which are also the key factors of the struggling situation of the global economy. So these are another clues that these are the approximate tariffs of the US till 2020. It was just declining. But once we see the real trajectory inside the database, we do see that, especially after 2017, it started to increase, especially after the administration. We have many clues about the terms of the administrations, the presidents of the US. But in the late years, especially with the Trump administration, the first Trump administration era and also second era, we see the acceleration of these global protectionist policies. So these are the very, very specific clues about this. So I will just pass this fastly, but I would like to mention one of them. These are the clues, evidences that they accelerate global protectionism. Why? This is the answer of why we are calling this era as the modern mercantilism. For example, this one. It started in 1920, but it didn't end. It still keep going. The Jones Act. Have you heard about this? This is cabotage law, which forbids the foreign ships entering, or the big carriers of the ships. They forbid to enter the foreign ships into the water of the US. You still can't do this. It's just forbidden. You cannot just use your flag, your China. It's definitely not accepted. A Turkish flag, for example, go inside the waters of internal waters of the United States. So it's still ongoing, by the way. So another important one, for example, the one on set of new projections, we have this first Trump just invocation of Section 301. So it was the continuation of 1974 Trade Act. So they started to target China, because China was, of course, the main power, the main rival of the US. So they kind of start to compete with China. That's how we start to, think more about the global protectionist era, because this rival, this competition forced them, pushed them to compete more harshly, compete more, more tough competition between them. So, but the Biden administration, the Democrats, once the Democrats came into power, we think that maybe they will just release this global protectionist policies, and they kind of will release this protectionist era, because this struggle and this gives more pressure to the countries, developing countries like Turkey in the first place. So that's why it was important for us, and that's why we need to be prepared as that we will be discussed. So also, apart from this belief, unfortunately, they continue the pressing of Chinese policies. They did not accelerate, but they did not release it at the same time, but they keep doing it. But again, the second Trump, once Trump returned, he even accelerated, as you witnessed a lot. He did even accelerated the protectionist policies to compete with China by also not only China, but also other countries, like even it affected countries like Turkey in terms of steel and aluminum production. The sector also affected a lot in terms of these protectionist policies. Another clues, evidences about global uncertainty. We have, while we are running investments, as you guys know, we most of the time look the volatility of Standard & Poor's 500 volatility index. And as we see, this volatility index starts to rise again. And this uncertainty index gives us some clues that we are in the hegemonic transition period, and we are in the social protectionist era. And we need to talk about, we need to think more about this, and we need to consider that we are in the transition period. This period is under the, always considered under the wars, crises, and ongoing conflicts. So that's how we should be prepared in terms of economic policies of the country. That's how we should prepare your economy in terms of such periods. So another important issue, that there is an ongoing tendency that during the crisis, the capital always turn back to its own. Where is the I mean, we are in the era of, it's still, it's a transition period, but we are under the hegemonial period of, again, the Anglo-Saxon international monetary system. Under this international monetary system, these guys are the owner of the capital, so this capital always turn back to its root. But this system is, they just start, they just use during the especially uncertainty times, the capital turns back the Fed. And I mean, once it turned back to Fed, the bonds prices increase. Again, that's how they can decrease the interest rates, so that how they can balance their economic situation. So this is also the answer. Once my students ask me, this is also answer of the question, how these guys, the bloody guys, can manage this kind of the foreign debt and this kind of the budget deficits, etc. So we should also discuss this under the modern monetary theories. Right now, they are trying to, they are now accelerating this kind of discussions that the budget deficits are even necessary for such countries. These countries, because the reserve, their currencies are reserve money, so they are volatile. They are not volatile, and so also they are they don't have to, just convert their the currency to another one, so they have the chance of reserve money power of their currency. So that's why the budget deficits and the foreign debt is not a problem for them. But most of the time they use this method, this system, to give the balance of their economy. So, but on the contrary, in recent times, even during the uncertain times, the bonds sales increases. So this is another problem for them. So they're trying to understand why is the case. Is it the China sale, or is it like liquidity shortage, or the hedge funds, which means like sale of the wealthy funds? They just, this is the main conspiracy theory that the capital just moving to China. So it's another discussion. We need more time to discuss this, but also there is a danger of panic selling. But also this modern monetary theories just explain that China's sale is not that much problematic for the US economy, because it's just 7% of the bonds they have. So this 7% is not a problem for them. Also the modern monetary theories, I'm not 100% following their discussions, but I follow some of their discussions. So I will combine them with the Turkish economy. How should we design the economic policies, today's current economic policies, in terms of using such new theories. Geçiyor değil mi hocam? Kaç dakikamız kaldı? 5 dakika mı? So, I was about to just explain how these countries just try to integrate themselves into the new system under the global protectionism and uncertainty times. Most of the time, the summary of the slides I just passed, they use fiscal policies, protectionist policies, again, to protect their markets. How? They use subsidies. They give, huge amount of subsidies for their internal markets. These subsidies mostly protect their markets and under the idea of, again, import substitution policies. But we should think about that. Should we go the same path all the time? Because it's like a circle. I always explain my students, it's a circle of Fatih Terim. It's always in Galatasaray, for example. He turns back again. Again, we will start with mercantilist era. We go with the liberal policies, and we end up the modern mercantilist era again. Why shouldn't we just cut this path and try to integrate our own? This is the discussion. The recent policies, I will just give the summary of this and then increase my and complete my discussion. The previous policy, I was not 100% the supporter of this policy, but this policy was trying to do something. It tried to develop economic sovereignty among the country, but the timing and the implementation method was wrong. What I'm trying to say was the era of just shifting the heterogeneous policies in Turkish economy. They tried something. They think, well, their strategy was to establish an economic sovereignty policies using the fiscal policies in the first place, but they couldn't control the excessive money supply. They increased the money supply through the cheap credits, right? But they couldn't control it. The theory says that if you increase the money supply, And if you can control the excessive amount of money supply, and if you let them to go through the consumption goods, so it just accelerates the inflation. This is what happened in our country. We couldn't control it. If we could have been controlled that, and we could have just let this excessive amount of money supply into production area, that was the planning, the initial plan in the first place, we could have achieved. We could have achieved what? We could have decreased the interest rate at the same time and hold the currency, which we use KKM and protection of deposits. I somehow support this tool. It was a beneficial tool, by the way. On the contrary of the critics comes from the Orthodox followers, Orthodox economic followers. I was, I mean, fun of this, not fun of, but supporting of this, of course, very specific policy, because it just released the especially cost of the interest payments in the first place, excessive interest payments. This was beneficial from the country. But what happened? We see after that they just cancel it. They see this as a demon. They act like it was the main reason for everything. Then we ended up two types of the cost from KKM and also another cost from increasing the interest rate. This is another discussion. So Turkish economy is going well, but we're trying to, again, set new policies to attain economic sovereignty, but we of fiscal policy again, because we are trying to now aggressively develop our economy. At the same time, we are missing some important point. They are missing us. That's the issue. We are the all salary holders here. We don't invest. They are still mainly focusing on the, of course, it's necessary part for the ongoing development of economic growth, but they miss us. So also this situation also will come with, as the public economics, will come with some prizes, especially of in terms of democratization, democratic policies, democratic system. If there come some prizes, so if they can't, they are now aware of this, but they're trying to set some policies over this. But the policies, that's the point, how or why we should intervene in the market as a state, because we are running such policies to accelerate your. I was planning to discuss also these ones, but I will just give some examples of this. Then increase maybe. Okay, then I had many discussions, but I will just complete my conclusion because I was all from the beginning. I was trying to say, as I mentioned earlier, I was trying to say how we should integrate in the policies, using the fiscal policy especially, integrate these complementary fiscal policies to accelerate economic growth at the same time, but also release the relative wealth of the society. So that is the missing part so far because of the inflationary pressure, which we create in the first place. Just in order to do this, we need to use fiscal policy as a strategic tool for fiscal sovereignty, economic sovereignty. How? Of course, we need to regulating again the fiscal policy in terms of, for example, subsidies. We have bunch of subsidies, millions of subsidies for, you know, better than me. Mampe will explain better than me. So, but we need to regulate and think about these subsidies again, because not most of the subsidies are going on the target, and also it increased the cost of the fiscal policy in the economy, and also tax structure formation. The current economy team, I don't want to just critique them much, but this is the public economist again and fiscal policy guy, the tax structure transformation should be set, and we need a huge reform again. We always talk about structural reforms in the country. This is the basic structural reform that should be done in terms of just attaining the fiscal sovereignty, economic sovereignty in the country by, I mean, the Mehmet Şimşek always talk about just spreading the tax base to the entire society. It is wrong. It's not always. It is orthodoxy, always orthodox thinking that we should spread the entire tax policies and tax bases to the society. No, the tax burden already going on. By the way, the tax effort is so low in our country. We are down below the OECD average. In that case, we need give acceleration of our tax policies, apply a new reform that we can be able to start even taxing the necessary parts. For example, windfall taxes, we called about the windfall income, the windfall profit, we talk about it. Maybe you heard about it, but especially during the extraordinary times like COVID-19, some companies in the country increased their wealth 100 times, 1,000 times. So, but we couldn't just, as a government, as a state, we couldn't just go them and ask them, come on, share it with us. It was because of the extraordinary times, and also it was because of my wrong policies that I mean, not wrong policies, but the policies that I couldn't implement it well. So that's another case. Not just asking the taxpayers for spreading the taxpayers to the entire society, but also asking the taxpayers for such situations of such somehow the capital owners. Also, the reforms in terms of tax structure. Why don't we just taxes for example, sport guys, the football players, etc. So these are another discussions that we need to focus on. And also, economic, last thing, the last sentence, economic sovereignty most of the time means production, correct fiscal policy. So in order to increase the production, we need to correct the fiscal policies we use, current fiscal policies we use. We need to re-regulate it. We need to, this time, by increasing the money supply, we should protect, regulate this, and we should control this excessive money, and we should make sure that this excessive money is going through the production side so that we can increase the investment, increase the savings, and then we can create a society. This is one main thing, actually. First of all, we need to create a society to produce, also transform society into a product. So that's the key factor. That's how we should use and why and how we should use the fiscal policies in practice. Thank you so much. If you have more time, I would lightly increase the discussion, but hopefully next time we will have more time. Maybe we can run a circle of discussion, like discussion table. Great. We were planning this to run our economic research center, economic circle research center. And thanks so much for your attention, and sorry for taking time. Oh, it's always happened with me, actually. It's just because of.
We would like to thank Dr. Yorulmaz for his very informative presentation. Our next distinguished speaker is Mr. Mahmut Muhittin Keskin. Mr. Keskin is the head of strategy department at the Investment and Finance Office of Turkey. It is the official investment promotion agency of the country, also known as Invest in Turkey. He joined Invest in Turkey in 2011 and has since had several key positions. He first served as a project director in the Investor Service Department, where he worked closely with multinational investors. In 2018, Mr. Keskin was appointed manager of the Change Management Unit, leading a major institutional transformation initiative. Mr. Keskin holds dual bachelor's degrees in economics and international relations from Istanbul Bilgi University and a master's degree in political economy from King's College, London. Today, the topic of his presentation is global and regional foreign direct investment trends in the era of digitalization, climate change, and geopolitical fragmentation. The floor is yours, Mr. Keskin.
Thank you very much, Dr. Bahar, distinguished professors, dear guests, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Muhittin Keskin. I'm head of strategy department at Invest in Turkey, the official investment promotion agency of the country. I know that we don't have much time, so I will keep it short. But I would like to thank Dr. Recep for his excellent presentation and excellent speech. It's hard to keep that, the same attention and the same excitement after this a great presentation, but I will try my best. Today I will actually, sorry. Yeah. I'll talk about some key trends in the global FDI landscape, and I'll try to touch upon how these trends are reflected into the investment decision making processes of international investors. So these are the trends actually that we are all aware. Most of them are really famous trends, like global value chains are being reshaped, deglobalization, protectionism. Everybody talks about these trends. But how do we see these trends in terms of foreign direct investment flows and multinational companies' decision-making processes? I will briefly touch upon these subjects, and also I will talk about our new FDI strategy, our national FDI strategy. We updated it last year in 2024, and we tried to make a new strategy fully aligned with these trends and also our national needs. So the first one is global value chains are being reshaped. You know, all of the geopolitical tensions, climate challenges, trade disruptions, for example, the blockages in Suez Canal or Panama Canal, all of these made really some traumatic experiences for multinational enterprises. So we started to, hear more about nearshoring, reshoring, and also friendshoring in supply chains. So the companies started to move their production bases closer to home or some trusted partners. They're actually diversifying their supply bases to become more resilient against global shocks. And these trends are really very important for their new location criteria. And the second one is deglobalization and protectionism. It's a very famous phenomenon. It's not new, but this protectionism especially is relatively a new trend, especially in the Trump era. Even Western countries, so-called liberal countries, they start to do, some very protectionist policies. And just a couple of days ago, actually, very recent development in Holland, the Dutch government decided to seize the control of a Chinese-owned semiconductor company, Nexperia, just a couple of days ago. So it's a traumatic experience for a company. A government, started to control your decision-making processes. And of course, these will have some repercussions from multinational companies, especially from Chinese companies. So as a result, actually, investment flows are increasingly reshaped by national security considerations, especially in industries such as ICT, defense, aviation, and semiconductors. And another phenomenon is, especially after COVID-19 crisis, the global economic uncertainties. We saw rising inflation, tightening monetary policies, and slowing growth rates. As a result, access to finance has become harder, and higher interest rates have limited private investment. All of these developments actually make investors more cautious and many of them actually delay or scale down their global investment projects. The fourth one is global fragmentation, actually, economic and political fragmentation. It is deepening, unfortunately. The global economy increasingly is divided into some blocks. And this actually limits cooperation, especially in critical technologies such as green and digital innovation technologies. And companies are adjusting their risk perceptions. More and more friendly countries are becoming preferred investment destinations. The fifth one is, of course, climate change and sustainability. It is not a side topic. It is in the center of all investment decisions right now. Investors increasingly prioritize the countries with clear climate policies and specific climate goals. Global initiatives like Paris Agreement and EU Green Deal are setting new standards. And the other one is digital transformation, of course. Digital transformation, especially after the pandemic. Traditional industries are being reshaped through automation, AI, and data-driven production. At the same time, new sectors such as data centers, fintech, e-commerce are growing very fast. So we see this in the figures. Right now, for example, data centers have some, in this sector, the multinationals start to make some mega investments, multi-billion-dollar investments. So these kind of new industries are on the rise. Another one is regional and national industrial policies. All of academics, government officials are talking about that. Industrial policies are back, especially in Western countries, developed countries, such as Inflation Reduction Act, CHIPS Act, EU CHIPS Act. And these policies, of course, aims to strengthen their strategic sectors and secure supply chains. But all of the multinational companies have to consider these policies before their investment decisions. And the last is new technologies and servicification of manufacturing. Technologies like automation, robotics, 3D printing are redefining competitiveness. Meanwhile, services such as R&D, design, and software is very important in manufacturing. According to a World Bank study, in Turkey, on average, half of the inputs in manufacturing is coming from services such as design, R&D, and software. And this is a summary table, actually. These are priorities of international investors before and after. Actually, some of them very new, some of them actually is rooted in early 2000s. But there are new priorities and new focuses in international companies right now. The first, we can say that they put greater importance in cost efficiency in supply chains in the past, but now the focus is more on resilience in supply chains. So especially events like COVID-19 and trade blockages, geopolitical conflicts have shown that global supply chains can be very fragile. So now investors prefer resilient supply chains even if it is higher in cost. So the security of supply chain has become very, very important. One is energy, actually, energy prices. Access to cheap energy was very important, but now, along with that, of course, the cost is still very important, but the energy security and sustainability is another very important aspect for their investment decisions. So the investors look for countries with reliable, renewable energy resources, stable grids. For multinational enterprises with net zero targets, this is no longer a preference. It is a must. It is a requirement right now. Third, labor costs. So in 90s or early 2000s, the low labor cost actually determined the investment flows, the FDI flows. That's why China managed to attract billions of dollars of investments. But now there are more important things than low labor costs, especially skilled and flexible talent. Because with the automation, AI, and digital inputs in the special manufacturing, it is very important to access skilled, adaptable, tech-driven talent. So the multinational companies more and more need engineers, data analysts, technicians who can work with digitalized production processes. Another one, sorry. In the past, we always talked about physical infrastructures like roads, ports, or energy infrastructure. But now digital infrastructure and cybersecurity became very, very important for multinational companies. Strong broadband networks, 5G adaptation, 5G connectivity, data centers, and cybersecurity systems are now critical. Another one, market access, the fifth one. In the past, we used to understand that market access is about tariffs and trade agreements, but it's not that simple right now. Today, in our today's digital economy requires more sophisticated governance, data governance regulations for market access. So investors actually prefer countries that align with global data protection standards such as GDPR and provide a predictable framework for data flows. Another one, incentives. Of course, they are still important, financial incentives, but it's not enough because today is a very unpredictable world. So even if you get very generous incentives, tomorrow government can take another measure, and your feasibility study can be disrupted. So the predictability and policy stability is another important issue right now. Seventh issue is compliance with standards. In the past, traditionally, an international investor needed to comply with national standards of the country where they invest. But now, regardless of their investment location, they feel that they have to comply with international standards like ESG principles, like green energy, etc. Because other than that, if you don't have these principles and standards, they're struggling to sell their products in the international markets. And the last cost minimization issue. Of course, cost minimization is still a priority for investors, but they also need innovation ecosystems in the countries they invest. So instead of focusing only on minimizing costs, companies want to be a part of new innovation ecosystems. They seek location where they can collaborate with startups, R&D clusters. This allows them actually to create new technologies, enhance productivity, and stay competitive in a rapidly evolving global economy. So what we did about all of these challenges as a country, we redefined our strategy last year, and we redefined our quality FDI definitions. I will keep it very short, but these are our target investment profiles right now. First, climate FDI, and then digital FDI. Thirdly, global value chain related FDI, knowledge intensive investments, high quality job generating FDI, high end service FDI, high quality financial FDI, and regional development oriented investments. These are the investment types that Turkey wants to attract. These are the specific targets of our strategy right now. Our primary goal is to increase Turkey's share of global FDI from 1% to 1.5%. Right now, it is around 1%. And the second goal is to increase Turkey's regional FDI share from 9% to 12%. I mean, regional FDI is about the region that we compete in, actually, Central and East Europe, Middle East, and North Africa. So these are the region that we are in, and we generally compete with these countries for new foreign direct investments. And other goal is more specific. I talked about the investment types and investment profiles that we want to attract. For example, climate FDI, digital FDI, high-end service FDI, etc. Have specific targets, project targets in these investment profiles in 5 years during the strategy period. Lastly, I will talk about the policy areas. In order to address these challenges and these global trends, we defined some policy areas, and under these policy areas, there are specific action plans with all our stakeholders, especially, of course, public stakeholders, different ministries, etc. In these areas, we want to be more competitive, more agile in terms of attracting FDI, investment and climate competitiveness, green transformation, digital transformation, global value chains, talent pool, and communication and promotion. So we try to introduce new reforms and new policies under these areas. And this is the end of my presentation. Thank you very much for your attention.
We would like to thank our third speaker, Mr. Mahmut Muhittin Keskin. This is the end of our panel. I would like to thank again our distinguished guests for coming here and share their valuable knowledge with us. Thank you so much. Have a good CEPIP conference.
We extend our heartfelt thanks for this enlightening and thought-provoking session. It's my pleasure to invite Mr. Mehmet Zahid Samancıoğlu, the advisor at the Central Bank of the Republic of Turkey, to the floor to deliver his presentation called AI and Industrial Policy, Curse or Blessing for Emerging Economies.
Hello. Today, I am very happy to be together with you. I will start about mentioning that the idea of artificial intelligence and research on it is not very new. Turkish mathematician Cahit Arf, he delivered a speech in 1959 in the remote city of Erzurum called Can Machine Think? And today I am asking all of you in this room and whoever listening, do machines think today? Are we there? So he asked this question 66 years ago. We stand at the dawn of a new age of artificial intelligence, and this is much like the Industrial Revolution 2 centuries ago. AI is going to reshape economies, redefine work, and reconfigure global power. Yet we must remember transformation of this scale have always carried a double edge. In the past, during and after Industrial Revolution, which lifted millions out of poverty, increased life standards, and also entrenched inequalities between nations, many still struggle today. So, and when, as I mentioned, AI research is not new. And we have many failed attempts before, many false hopes, and some periods called AI winters when many projects canceled. But now we are in a period of AI boom. So whoever you told, what kind of manager, in which kind of company, they say they have to do something about AI. So this is because of the breakthrough in the large language models, which popularized this to the general public. And billions of dollars are pouring into a global race, AI supremacy. So as previous speaker, Mr. Keskin mentioned, so this is also part of a protectionism. And there are very great stakes. Who would ever control this technology, this area? And this has very great implications. So we see several key players, big techs, and advanced economies, and also China and some other countries who are in this sprint. But still, there is a critical question. So what does this coming AI revolution will bring for emerging economies? So will it be a divide between rich and poor, who can access and develop these countries, and lock these countries in a poorer position? Or will it become a general purpose technology benefiting all and increasing the living standards? So is there anything to do? That is the question. So can industrial policy of emerging countries tip the balance away from this development being a curse against them into a blessing for emerging economies? I will try to discuss my ideas in this area. In the next few minutes, I'll explore this dilemma through three interconnected lenses: historical, technological, and economic. First, I'll revisit the Industrial Revolution, not just as a story of steam engines, but as a fundamental shift in what counts as a capital, from land and labor to machines and factories. So this is very crucial to understand this nature of capital. Second, we will look into the irony of robotics, where machines can master very complex calculations, hard tasks, yet they struggle with simple things we do intuitively and effortlessly. So this paradox, understanding this paradox is important to understand the effects. Finally, I'll trace the economic arc of digital age from early promise of software-driven innovation and human talent to today's reality of massive data centers, soaring energy demands, and capital-intensive AI infrastructure dominated by few global players. Together, these perspectives will reveal why smart industrial policy is not optional, but essential for emerging economies navigating the AI era. Let's begin with history. Because the choices we make about AI today echo the decisions made 2 centuries ago during the industrialization. So today we are talking about trade wars. Today we are talking about takeover of companies, and there are many parallels. So, but for most of the human history, land was the ultimate source of wealth. Economies ran on soil, sun, sweat, on human and animal labor, tilling fields, herding livestock, crafting goods by hand. Land wasn't just a property, it was the capital. Who owned it, who owned the land, ruled. So with the industrialization, the capital would change. From land, it became the machine. Who owned the machine started to roll. So another era began. So then came the Industrial Revolution. Steam engines, power looms, railroads didn't just speed up things. So people were able to go through continents far away, but it is not the speed up. It defined what capital meant. Wealth shifted from acres of farmland to factories, machines to infrastructure, and doing many things humans were doing. On the other hand, human labor didn't disappear. It moved from fields to factories, from self-sufficient villages to crowded urban centers today we live. So should we expect similar trends? So when we look at the goal of the machinery at that day, it was to replicate what the muscles can do. So we are still measuring power of an engine with horsepower. How many horses can it replicate? But it didn't provide the mind. So during the industrial revolution, which amplified physical power, but still dependent on human operators, engineers, managers to think, decide, adapt, intelligence remained firmly human. Fast forward today, when we look this era, so AI is triggering a second great shift, not in terms of physical capital, but in cognitive capital the humanity created. Now, new engines aren't just stronger. They can learn, write, diagnose, and even create. The muscle, today's muscle, being replaced by machines is not in our arms, but in our brains. And like the steam engine, AI demands massive infrastructure. So this is very important to understand. Data centers, semiconductors, electricity, and very high skilled talent. But there is a catch. There is a critical difference. So industrial machines need human minds to function. AI is rapidly becoming the mind itself. This brings us a profound paradox. One shapes who wins and who loses in this age of automation. In robotics, as I mentioned earlier, tasks we perform effortlessly, like grasping a cup, walking on an uneven ground, or recognizing a friend's face or voice, were, I don't say are, because extremely difficult to machines. So when Cahit Arf told in 1959, it was difficult to imagine today's what we have in our phones. So these baby skills, so babies are very good learners, and they, even when they work, they automatically grasp things. And when we look at humanoid robot, we saw some pictures today. When they grab something, hold an egg, it is a astonishing. Oh, machines are able to do this today. So the things we do very easily, it is very tough for the robots. But like the things we do tough, like bending metals or welding, they were already in factories. So there are many robotic arms today producing cars and even solving complex problems. They are relatively easy, playing chess or playing Go. So now what is coming is this gap is closing. The things we do very easily, robots automated coupled with AI, they are beginning to master it. Robotic arms, weld cars with superhuman precision, advanced neural networks paired with multimodal sensors, sensing not only light, not only sound, sensing radar and all different kinds of electronic waves, beginning to understand the physical causality, how objects interact, how forces apply, how to manipulate delicate items. So we are on the cusp of general purpose robots capable of performing daily chores, elder care, and complex manual labor. When these machines exit the lab and enter the factories, farms, and homes, the economic impact will be seismic. So it will not be something small, especially for emerging economies where labor-intensive sectors dominate employment. So there are many problems with labor. They can strike. They want good income. But if you produce robots in massive scales doing similar tasks, so what will happen? So which brings us to the core dilemma: will AI deepen global divide between countries, or will it drive convergence? So will the gap between emerging and advanced economies widen, or will it come closer? So consider the scale of today's AI race. Over the past 2 years alone, just 4 US tech giants, Microsoft, Google, Meta, and Amazon, they have committed billions of dollars, like 500 billion in a single table, like 1/3 of Turkish annual GDP. So to build even superior AI infrastructure, they are building vast data centers powered by custom AI chips, consuming gigawatts of electricity equivalent to many small countries. So it is a great development. Meanwhile, the models running on this infrastructure grow even larger. The largest language model contains up to 2 trillion parameters, which is astonishing. Still, when we talk about human brain, it has 100 trillion synapses. But the gap is closing. And training cost of these models also skyrocketed. Initial models to train ChatGPT, GPT-3, you need like $5 million. Now to train the latest ones, you need about $100 million. So only to train the model. So you, in the digitalization age, like one engineer could develop an app or build a system, a small company, and became a global fit. And like engineers were becoming more like like capital good. So they had knowledge, and you didn't. When you needed to build a software company, the main expenditure was paying the good engineers. But for AI, it is different. You need great capital expenditure to build the AI infrastructure, to pay for electricity, which makes the capital-rich countries into a superior position. So this is important to recognize. So why this struggle, why this protectionism is increasing? The answers lie here. So this capital intensity creates a dangerous trap for emerging economies. Without massive investment, they risk becoming perceptual consumers, mere consumers of AI, not creators, not developers, only users, and paying the cost. So without smart industrial policy, the AI curse is a real deal and will unfold, unfortunately, in 3 stages. First, brain drain, as top talent migrates where the data, compute, and opportunity exist. Second, technological dependence. So if you only provide the raw data using phones, apps to the global platforms, without making use of your own data, you will capture very little value. And lastly, it will create a labor market disruption, as automation displaces low-skilled jobs faster than the new AI-augmented roles, which are on high demand, but there is a limit how much demand new jobs are created. If it is slower than the destroyed old jobs, then it will increase the inequality. So with this, I would say, gray picture, still I think AI has the potential to be a blessing if these countries, if we act strategically. So what does AI do? Yeah, machines, engines were transforming energy into an action, into a force. The reality of AI, it's a general purpose technology. It democratizes access to knowledge, and it increases amount of knowledge one can process, and automates routine cognitive tasks, and can amplify human productivity across education, healthcare, and governance. The thing is, you need to implement, use, and develop this technology, not be part out of this race. The challenge is not the technology itself, but the ecosystem around it. So, in my opinion, smart industrial policy must therefore focus on 4 pillars. 1, targeted infrastructure. So today's investments are crucial. Not every country needs to build 10 billion data centers, but we can have, I believe, regional cloud hubs. High-speed digital corridors and energy-efficient compute facilities are essential. So several countries come together and build this structure. So international collaboration is important for emerging economies. And secondly, skills for the AI era is very important. So we need a big transformation in education, shift role of learning to critical thinking, data literacy, and human AI collaboration. Third, so this is the actual core of, so data sovereignty and governance is very important. So actually, who owns the data can develop these systems. Local data must fuel local innovation. So if you don't build your local infrastructure to enable your researchers develop technology and use in their own AI research, what can they do? The advanced big techs already have it. So this is a critical edge, and I believe when worked carefully, there is an area which can build some leverage. So through open data initiatives, privacy safeguards, and public AI sandboxes, we can fuel AI development in these countries. And lastly, I think the term globalization, like global localization approach is important. Adapting global AI models to local contexts, regulations, and real-world workflows ensures relevance over scale. So what I mean with globalization, this approach empowers even small to medium enterprises to harness AI effectively. Consider a mid-sized manufacturer that fine-tunes a compact, large language model or language model on its internal data, equipment manuals, maintenance logs, and technician notes, which that company owns. So that is specific to that area. So if we can integrate local knowledge with this technology, it can enhance and provide competitivity. So this resulting AI doesn't just process instructions, it understands the factory's unique machinery, predicts failures specific to its environment, and communicates with the terms who actually use it. The same logic extends beyond the factory floor to public services like healthcare. An AI diagnostic tool trained on region-specific health records, which are stored locally and it's not possible to share outside. Local disease patterns, and clinical terminology and clinical research to deliver more accurate and trusted insights on AI models. So globalization is a key factor turning global technology into locally intelligent action, amplifying relevance, trust, and real-world impact. This is crucial. The future isn't locked in. We must be ready for even more dramatic change ahead. Today, capital relatively more dominant in this area, but technology doesn't stop there. Breakthroughs in computing, such as neuromorphic chips, quantum computing, energy-efficient architectures, and radically data-efficient algorithms could dramatically lower the cost to train AI. It may not be 100 billions in coming years. So this equilibrium may not be stable, but today it is what it is. So these lowering the cost, energy use can scale the barriers of AI. So it will be a different world. And if such a scenario happens, maybe emerging countries have a chance to benefit latecomers' advantage. So all the advanced economies paying for the large costs of research, and now the working costs are lower. So quantum-inspired techniques could help solve tough optimization problems faster, while, and this is also important research area, small language models trained on modest but high-quality local data have the potential to outperform large general-purpose LLMs in real-world tasks. Together, these hardware and software advances could begin to rebalance the overwhelming need for massive capital, loosening the grip of today's infrastructure monopolies and opening pathways for more agile, localized innovation. The lesson from history is clear. Technological revolutions don't determine destiny. They reveal it. The Industrial Revolution didn't automatically enrich nations. It rewarded those with vision, strong institutions, and policies that harness its power. This is also true for AI. For emerging economies, the choice isn't whether to participate, it is how. With foresight, strategic investment, and a commitment to inclusive innovation, AI can be more than a tool of the powerful. It can be a ladder helping nations leapfrog old constraints and build economies where human potential, not just computational power, defines prosperity. The AI era needs to be not a curse. With smart industrial policy, it can be our shared blessing. So, I would like to thank the organizers at the OSTİM Technical University and University of Nevada for this opportunity to share these thoughts, and all of you for your attention. I would also like to thank Professor Yulek for the invitation to deliver this speech. The conversation about AI and industrial policy is just beginning, and I am glad we are having this discussion today together with you. Thank you. So my timing was perfect. Just I arrived the thanks paragraph. I had to notice.
I'm sorry for cutting you first.
It's not today.
Okay, thank you so much, Mr. Samancıoğlu, for this speech. We will be proceeding with a panel session called From the Great Depression to the Great Recession, Parallels in Post-Crisis Trade Protectionism. So our moderator for this session is Professor Dr. Ali Akkemik from Fukuoka University, Japan. We are also pleased to welcome our panelist, Dr. Jorge Tavares Borges from OSTİM Technical University, Associate Professor Onur Akkaya from Kilis, 7 Aralık University, and yeah, please join me in welcoming Professor Dr. Ali Akkemik and our esteemed panelists.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Fine. Well, good evening from Japan. I know it's morning time in Turkey. So welcome to the session of CEPIP on industrial policy. My name is Ali Akkemik, and I'm a professor of economics at Fukuoka University in Japan. For those of you who don't know where Fukuoka is, it's in the southernmost island of Kyushu. It is much closer to Korea than Tokyo. So I have the pleasure of serving as the chair for this session, which was just announced. It's a great pleasure to know that, to see that industrial policy has once again become the central topic in economic debate, not only for structural transformation and technological upgrading, as has been discussed in this conference so far, but also as a framework for addressing new global challenges in sustainability, supply chains, competitiveness, and recently climate change. So our panel today brings together valuable perspectives that shed light on both historical foundations and contemporary directions. So we will begin with a presentation from our distinguished speakers today, and probably followed by discussion and questions from the audience if time allows. I kindly ask the presenters to keep their remarks within the allotted time so that we can ensure opportunity for the dialogue. So without further ado, I would like to first invite Dr. George Boris to the floor. George, the floor is yours.
Hello, thank you very much, Eliojan. Can you hear me? Sensei.
Yes, yes.
Good evening in Fukuoka. In Ankara, it's still morning. Thank you for accepting to chair this section. And I hope I can bring some important information here to feed the debate on industrial policy. I'm too happy to see that industrial policy has become cool again. And for those who don't know, Eliojan was my PhD supervisor in Japan. I'm very happy to share the platform here with him today. Can I share how much time do I have, by the way, to do my presentation?
I think it's 20 minutes.
Okay, I will try to.
So you have 90 minutes left.
It's already counting, I guess.
Yeah. I live in Japan. Yeah.
I will share my screen. Can you see my presentation? Basically, I cannot see it.
Yeah, that's fine.
Yes. Basically, some background information. This is by Nicholas Kaldor. Developing country must industrialize it. They can industrialize it only by protection. Anyone who says otherwise is lying. This is by Nicholas Kaldor. He was a little bit strong on his opinion regarding protection, but this seems to be the way countries can industrialize it. And it seems it can explain the industrialization of some countries in the East Asia and maybe European countries in the previous time. So basically, when we say industrialization, we mean manufacturing, because industry is large. It can include some mining, which is basically raw materials, which doesn't have much transformation. So we specifically mean manufacturing. And why manufacturing? Well, manufacturing does not have a diminishing return. It's not a diminishing return activity. If anything, it can increase its return. All factor of production also, when we are talking about manufacturing, these factors are variable. We can increase them through the investments. So we can avoid the falling below the minimum. Basically, we can avoid the marginal product, diminishing marginal product. The demand for industrial goods is income elastic, meaning that high income, increase your income by 1%, the demand for industrial manufacturing output will grow more than 1%. Meaning faster GDP growth, if manufacturing demand will grow even faster. That is good. And there's great scope for capital accumulation, which can increase productivity. For instance, this is all is summarized in what we call Kaldor process, or some call Kaldor law. First law says that manufacturing is the engine of growth in GDP. Basically, the faster you are growing in manufacturing, faster your GDP will grow. And second law says that the more you produce, the faster your productivity in manufacturing will grow. Basically, this is learning by doing, or basically you become better the more you do. This can give us some argument to favor protection. If you protect some industry, even if today the industry is not that the productivity is not that high, there's some hope that the productivity will improve over time. So the third law says that productivity in non-manufacturing sectors can be impacted by growth of manufacturing. This is kind of spillover effect of manufacturing. So we have enough argument to make a case for protection of manufacturing and promotion of manufacturing through industrial policy. Basically, I will look at a specific case of Ghana. Basically, I'm interested in Ghana to see if it is possible for Ghana to industrialize it by using industrial policy. This is, we see Ghana export. We see basically they are not exporting that much manufacturing goods. This data is provided to us by the Atlas of Economic Complexity provided by Harvard University. Here we see that Ghana export in 2023 was $24 billion. The export actually is declining by 2% over the past 5 years. And non-oil export, basically, which we are mostly look at merchandise, it can include manufacturing, is declining by 1.5%. This is below, declining. The growth here is below the global growth. This is, we are looking at export complexity. Export complexity means more diversification. You are not depending on a limited range of manufacturing export. And what we can see is that when countries export, the countries' export complexity is more than their what we expect given their income level, they tend to grow faster. So countries that are export punching above their weight in terms of income related to complexity normally tend to grow faster. Growth can be driven by production diversification and increasingly more diversification in production, faster growth we have. And if we look at here, we have a scale of complexity. We see that Ghana actually has low complexity in terms of export. It means the country needs to diversify its manufacturing production and try to export different things. Here we see that growth of global market share of Ghana, you see that is very small, doesn't reach 1%. Basically, Ghana is yet to achieve what we call structural transformation, which is a key source of economic growth. So basically, we see no clear reallocation of resource from low to high productivity sector. This is, if we study other countries in East Asia, case of Japan, Korea, or Taiwan, we see this is what took place. Basically, these countries were able to gradually increase their export sophistication. This is what we are not seeing in Ghana, and this is what we are calling for to be promoted through industrial policy. For instance, if we look at share of textile industry, for Ghana's share of textile industry export, actually stagnated. And we have to take in consideration that textile industry is an entry-level industry for many countries that are trying to industrialize it. Normally, textile is the entry point. And if you are stagnated here in this sector, something is wrong. Either you are at the advanced level where textile is in decline, because over time, if you are in an advanced level of industrial production, maybe textile will decline. Or you are in the beginning level and you are stagnated, as we see here in the case of Ghana. They are in the beginning, and it seems they are not improving their textile share. And the country has potential for that, given the textile sector is labor intensive. The country has a lot of labor and cheap labor. So we should see an increased share of textile industry here. And electronic and machinery, which is the objective to be achieved, export of electronic and machinery. Basically, in Ghana, these sectors didn't took off yet, which contribute to limited income growth in the country. But it's not all bad news, actually. If you look at the introduction of new products, because we are speaking about complexity, a production, industrial complexity and export complexity. If we look at from 2008 to 2023, Ghana has introduced 21 new products. This is much better than, for instance, Nigeria, which is a close competitor of Ghana in West Africa region, for instance. And these are contributed to income per capita growth. It has contributed to $108 to their GDP per capita. So this diversification has been large enough to contribute to their income growth. Based on this situation, what is the recommended industrial policy for Ghana? Here we have 4 types of industrial policy: a parsimonious one, which is a kind of limited approach to industrial policy. We have a light touch approach also. We have a strategic bet approach, and we have technological frontiers. Some countries are at technological frontier, like think about Japan. They are at technological frontier. Their industrial policy should be more toward promoting this technological frontier sector. But Ghana seems to be at the strategic bet approach. Pick some strategic sector and bet on these sectors to boost these sectors. Basically, this is given by this flow chart. For instance, can Ghana grow its economy using existing know-how? If yes, they should take a light touch approach. If no, which is the case, Ghana should ask the question: how easy is to diversify into new product? There's this idea that to go into new product, you should be producing some product which is close to the new product you want to jump into. If there's no close relation, you need some jump into, let's say, technological jump in order to diversify. In case of Ghana, it seems there's some isolation in their industrial production. So Ghana needs some jumps. And if there's a need for jump, is because the country is at technological frontier, like Japan. Japan is at frontier to come up with a new product. They need really a jump because they are at the frontier. Or if they are not at the frontier, they need some strategic bet to pick some sector in order to do this jump. This is the case of Ghana, some strategic bet on some industry. Just a quick review of Ghana industrial policy. Basically, after liberalization, after independence, Ghana introduced what we understand as import substitution industrialization. This lasted until 1983, when the country faced several problems of liquidity problems. They had to accept IMF structural adjustment program, the first in Africa, actually. The first structural adjustment program. Basically, this is the agenda of liberalization. And according with the literature, basically, these has contributed to manufacturing contraction, actually. After this liberalization period, which basically called for tariff cuts and privatization, manufacturing in Ghana, not only, also some parts of Africa, the manufacturing contracted. However, GDP per capita grew a little bit more than the previous period. If you look at here, previous period was a period of a lot of fluctuation in GDP per capita growth. But also this was a period of a lot of political instability. So there is no clear picture here because there's a lot of noise, let's say, here. And some evidence from firm level study shows that large firms actually benefit from opening to competition. Basically, we can understand that these large firms, they have more resource to face competition from abroad. However, small firms decline it. And if we look at the industrial layers of Ghana, it's composed by lots of small firms. So if small firms are not winning, meaning overall the economy is not winning in this case. And in regional pattern countries in Africa, we mean countries that implemented a selective type of protection plus export discipline, they did better. These are cases of Mauritius and Ethiopia. So basically, the general idea is that neither free trade nor total protectionism can ensure industrialization. Maybe we need a kind of sequencing of this type of policy, and the institutions matter. In Ghana, if we will study the Ghana case, we see that institution is important. Not only, this was made plenty clear by the Nobel Prize, Ajemoglu. Institution is very important. Strategic protectionism. Basically, we should protect some sector temporarily, and this protection should be based on performance. You don't want to protect an industry for too long. This generates a lot of problems, rent-seeking behavior type of problem. So, and if you are opening your economy, you must complement that with investment in infrastructure, credit, technology, and skills. These are things that are limited in Ghana, we can say. So, there's a condition for opening, and these are the conditions. You need to invest in infrastructure, credit, technology, and skills. And some research suggestion, we can use CGE modeling to study policy shift between these periods using farm level data. This is what I'm thinking, working on now. And also we can evaluate the impact of Africa trade agreement. You know, as you may know, Africa approved recently a continent-wide trade agreement between countries. We could evaluate how these agreements will affect industrialization in Africa. So basically, this is my message. Industrial policy is still important for industrialization. We need a well-designed and well-implemented industrial policy in the type that they did in East Asia. So thank you very much for your attention. I look forward for discussion.
Thank you very much, George, for also keeping loyal to time. We heard some very insightful comments and insights from an insider about Africa's industrialization problem. For the benefit of the audience, the United Nations celebrates November 20 as the Africa Industrialization Day. So 1 month from now. So put it in your schedule. So our next speaker is from Kilis Yedaraluk University. I don't know if you pronounce it that way in English, probably December 7th University. Professor Onur Akkaya, the floor is yours. You will take us to a journey in history, I guess.
Thank you, dear professor. First of all, I want to say congratulate the George for his presentation. I have one idea for the Ghana, so complex and so beautiful presentation. Thank you about that. Greeting everyone from the southeast in Turkey. Before the lunchtime, I know I would like to summarize the topics without taking up to the much of your time. I hope so. I shared my presentation shortly. Okay. Yeah. Can you see my screen?
Yeah. We see it fine.
Okay, wonderful. Thank you. I start. I will compare the Great Depreciation periods and the Great Depreciation periods. We will try to try to compare it. We will talk about the Smoot-Hawley Act and Trump tariffs, the historical and empirical comparison. First of all, this presentation compares the Smoot-Hawley Tariff Act in 1930 with the Trump area tariffs implemented between 2018 to 2024, but 25 we will say. The analysis highlights fundamental differences in the scope, intent, and the international context, demonstrating how the international and economic environments influenced the global trades and outcome. Before the start this act, I will give me some database about great depreciations and great recessions periods. Maybe we will remember these periods. We will focus on the great depreciation periods. The stock markets and GDP and industrial production is the decrease, especially stock markets, huge decrease. And on the other hand, the unemployment, we will show that, the rise up. We will focus on the Great Recession period.
I think there's a problem. Your presentation is not progressing. So I think that you have to first shut down. Okay, yeah, now it works. Okay.
I see. How will change it? I don't know what. I will try to share again. Maybe it will be.
Maybe if you click at presentation mode, it can.
I think that you have to run slideshow.
I will share it. What?
Okay, this is fine. Probably you have to.
Okay, I will
press
try
on
it again.
button slideshow or F5 button key.
I don't know. I will try again. This correct? This fix it in now?
Okay, I think you can do it this way. Okay. Yeah.
Oh, okay. I see. Sorry. First, sorry. I tried to maybe share the slides in here, not screen.
Okay. Yeah, I think this is the way it's good to go. Yeah. Yeah.
Yes, wonderful. Yeah, it's good. Fix it. Okay. I tell about to some database about to this period. I will show there. Stock markets, GDP, industrial production is decreased, but unemployment rise up. The periods of the Great Depreciation. If we will look to Great Recession periods, the same scenarios, but the same scenarios will show that the stock markets and GDP's industrial productions decrease and unemployment is rise up again. If we will look to this period, to how to change world trade's volume changed in this period, especially is after the Smooth-Hawley Act, Tariff Act, the world trade's value change is decrease very highly. If we will look to Great Recession periods after this time, the same scenarios we show that. What is the Smooth-Hawley Act, Tariff Act, 1920? If we will remember this period. Enacted during the Great Depreciation as a permanent trade policy, applied over the 20,000 important goods, with the average tariff rates increased from the 38 to nearly 60. Indeed, they protected domestic industries, but provocated global reputation and the 65 collapse in international trade. This is so huge. Decreasing collapse for international trade, and finally deepened the Great Depreciation and weakened the global economic cooperation. If we will turn about to Trump area tariffs, 2018 between 2024, targeted tariffs mainly on the Chinese imports, steels, aluminiums, and technological products, designed as a temporary negotiation tools under the America First policy, so popular, aimed to reduce the USA trade deficit and curb Chinese economic influence, and average rates between 25 and 50s on the selected goods. We will compare the frameworks, key analytical dimensions, scopes, breadth and permanence of the policy applications, intent, protectionisms, and negotiations leverage, content, institutions and global economic environments, and outcome, global trade impact, and systematic release. We will compare these periods shortly again. Institutional constant and global framework. In 1920, absence of the international trans institutions, unilateral economic nationalism prevailed. 2018, existence of the WTO, G20, and diversified supply chain method disruption. The modern global economic privates more release against the tariff shocks. The economic outcomes we will compare it. 1930s global trade value fell by minus 65%. Intensively, the Great Depressions, we say. 2018 between 2024, global trade slowed but not collapsed due to institutional buffers. The 21st century systems absorbed the shocks more efficiently than 1930 framework. Okay. I want to tell about one phenomenon. Sorry. Yeah, this phenomenon is China-America. Look at Trump's tariffs policy based on the China-America phenomenon. What is the China-America phenomenon? The USA and China economic relations 1990 between 2020s more symptomatic symptomatic yet asymmetric. China, global manufacturing hub exporting the industrial goods. USA, consumer driver economy with percent trade deficit. Chinese reinvested the supplies into the USA treasury bonds and financing the US consumption. This interdependence create vulnerabilities exploited during the tariff conflicts. The policy escalation under the Trump periods and Biden periods, we will say that. Trump's administration intimidated the tariffs as the leverage on negating trade relations. Biden administration retained many tariffs, reforming them as the strategic tools. They really expanded into technology, in intellectual property, and national security domains in this periods, Trump's and Biden periods. We say. We will shortly. I pass these slides. Maybe tell about historical periods. Key trends shaping the future persist the USA and China geopolitical competitions, regionalism of the supply chains, and decline of the global integrations, gradual erosion of the dollar dominance in the international trades, global remilitations, and strategic decoupling, and rising emphasis on national release over the global properties. And finally, the historical competition underscores how the preference of the global institution and diversified economic structure provided the repeat of the 1930s trade collapse. While both of the Smoot-Hawley and Trump tariffs abandoned the economic nationalism, their different constant products, distinct outcomes, modern trade wars reflect strategically rarely rather than this systematic breakdown. Yet, this signal and end of the suffered the globalization. I want to edit the one thing. I think the economists need to help to break these vicious cycles by the better communication to the public. The international trade is a win-win scenario, the win-win scenario based on the Adam Smith. Thank you about you listening to me.
Thank you very much. I think in a nutshell, your final messages this time is different. I would like to ask the moderator if we have any time for a discussion dialogue here. Are there any questions from the floor?
Yes, okay, you may have some time.
Okay, so because I'm not physically present there, can you ask if the audience has any questions?
Okay, I'm sorry, yes. So if there is any question to direct, we can. Okay, there is none here.
All right. Okay, maybe I have one. Just a suggestion for George. But you heard a lot from me over the years, but I think there's one more thing we might want to consider. Usually, economic modelers like yourself, they follow the economic agenda quite from behind. So this is not bad. You first have to observe and then model everything you see around. So nowadays, because you're a very ardent supporter of CG modeling, I think that you might want to consider adding the new aspects of changing economic paradigms. What I want to say is there's been a lot of discussion in this conference on AI and how manufacturing is changing. So if manufacturing is changing, you cannot model manufacturing as we have done so far. So right now, I'm working on a CG model. Actually, I'm working on a kind of a simulation model where I can put two tasks in production process along with two different skill types of labor. So if you have to bring some kind of complications to economic model in this way, if you want to get published because you're a young researcher, that's my suggestion. And also an invitation for collaboration, maybe, because I'm already doing it. You might be interested in that. And do any of the presenters have questions to each other?
Okay. Thank you very much for your suggestions, Sensei. I think yes, this is the good way to go. Basically, in economics, we are playing catch up with reality for a long time. And let's try to be ahead of the curve. Yes, I think so. Basically, CGE seems to need some more sophistication to adapt to this new reality. Yes, thank you for the invitation for collaboration. Accepted. Let's work on that.
Okay, looking forward to it. So, Dr. Akkaya, Dr. Borj, do you have questions to each other?
Thank you.
Sorry. Is maybe nowadays there are a lot of discussions regarding in the Trump tariff. Is it because in my presentation I spoke about strategic industrial policy? Is there any strategy in Trump policy protectionism? Is it protectionism for the sake of protectionism, or there is any strategy there with that we cannot identify yet? Is it there anything there?
Yeah, I am not sure to say anything because this subject is Trump. Every day is changed. but we will look this this period. He is a national yeah, you will use these policies protect the USA nationals. I think he said, "Make it great again. We will great again." He said that, but I am not sure. Maybe this is some part of the play. I don't know. The time is said that. I think so.
Thank you for your answer. Yes,
I am not sure.
Make it again.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. So the whole world is changing. I think you probably do not hear much about Japanese politics in Turkey much, but there's a similar movement going on here in Japan. The politics is moving far to the right, so people are kind of scared. Now there's a political party which came up with the slogan of Japanese first. So immigrants and foreigners like me are asking if you're first and what are we doing here then. So it's kind of complicated issue. I think that you both two have done a very good, excellent job today, explaining very complicated issues to the audience. And I think that our time is already up, and we actually have quite some time, but because the conference is quite behind schedule, we did a very good job. We bring it back on track, I guess. So I would like to adjourn this session. Thank you, Dr. Boris, Dr. Akkaya, for your participation and wonderful presentations. And I would like to turn to the moderator. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you. See you.
Okay, we thank you very much for this engaging session. We will be continuing with a lunch break. We will return at 1 p.m. Enjoy your meal. Thank you.